like that. We need to mark the 1/4 inch seam intersection point where this 1/4 inch seam it intersects with this 1/4 inch seam, and there are lots of tools that you can buy that will mark that point. So that's one, and here is the other, is right about there. And I did check to see that I'm on the correct side of this blue batik. Very slightly different on that side than this side. Okay, so I need to line these points up with, I'm going to line that 1/4 inch with the 1/4 inch mark right here. So I'm going to push a pin through that mark. Then I'm going to put it through this mark and then push the two of them together. I am not going to bend this pin back because doing that takes the two pieces and skews them. Push them straight, hold it straight, just like that, and take a second pin and pin it right there. Then you can pull this guy out. All right, same here. I have stitched this seam, the two sections together, but that is my 1/4 inch mark on this side, and it's exactly the same point over here, but I don't want to sew into the seam allowance. So I'm going to put a pin right through that point there, and I'm going to see if I can find where I put that mark. Here it is, right here on the other side. Line that pin up, push it through, line up the edges. Now is this pin straight? If I hold it straight up, everything should be in line. Second pin, right there. Now from there, with the two sides anchored, now I can come right here along. If I push a pin straight through here, it should be a 1/4 inch out. So there's a pin. I'm going to double check again here. If I push that straight down, yeah, I'm about a 1/4 inch. Oh, that's a little off. It's important on these that you cut on that line, not short, not too much. Straight down, second pin. Okay, so I'm going to sew, I'm going to push this out of the way. I'm going to sew from here to here only. So here we are. Got that seam out of the way. I'm going to roll the needle down. You may have trouble seeing that. Roll the needle down, so I'm just catching this seam and this fabric. I'm not catching anything of this. I'm going to come forward a couple of stitches and then go back 1 stitch. And here, we want these open. Where's my little handy dandy holder? Here it is right here. Shish kebab skewers, best tool for sewing there is. I'm going to hold that and I'm going to sew on the line. Open up that seam. Okay, now take the pin out. Every machine will sew over pins, but it rocks the sewing foot, so your line gets a little skewed. Yeah, it is. I'm going to hold the place with the shish kebab skewer while I take the pin out, forward and back. Just 1 stitch, you don't need a whole lot. Right up to the line, not into the line. So here we have 1/2 stitched, folded over. Now we're going to rotate the whole thing around to this side. Here's my 1/4 inch mark again. Pretty pink. So see here, this is not lined up straight, so I want to be careful not to line my fabric up with this because there's too much seam there. Through the dot. Okay, line that up straight. Come on, you get in position. Second pin. There we go. Now this one is already stitched at this point. So I want to line up, go pin through that intersection right here, and just, it's hard to see because it's the same color thread, but there's my dot right there. I'm going to go right through the dot, so I'm careful not to go into the seam I just sewed. I'm just doing these two pieces, this and the blue underneath, no other fabric in that seam. Push my pin in and give it just a little tug. Now here is probably stretched out a little bit with the ironing because you see you've got a little bit of a pleat there on top. This piece is bigger than that one underneath. So I'm going to pull it on both ends and take that excess and push it down in the middle. And here I'm going to line it up, make sure I don't have too much, any of the blue sticking out on the edge. It's just lined up evenly. So a pin here. I think that went through. No, it didn't go all the way through. Didn't take a big enough bite. There we go. And now here I pull this a little bit, even out that excess and push it down. Pin, and my second pin is right here. And again, stretch out the excess, line up the edge. Here's my pin, and there we go. So I have some excess pins. You can see it's looped a little bit on that side. Doesn't matter what direction you're sewing in, but here I'm just going to line that up with that start point. Needle's down in the fabric. Now I can pull the pin out because the needle's holding it. Drop my presser foot. 1, 2, back up 1, and there we go. Come on, you. Now this is where, handy dandy tool again, hold down that excess. And I'm pushing down with this last inch is flat with the fabric, and is pushing down that excess and just holding it flat against the fabric so that the needle steps over a little bit of that excess every time. Stop, come on, stop down in there. Okay, so the needle's holding my place again. Take the pin out, and you can see the extra up here. Now push it flat. I want to get this lined up here, get that bone flat, even if I have to stretch it a little bit. Push down. And now here, I don't want to stitch into this seam. I want to make sure I stop. Even if I'm stopping 1 stitch short, there's 1, there's 2, I think, okay. That's about the most I can get. I'm going to turn this around and come forward, so I don't have to worry about stepping into that seam. You see it's stopped just a fraction of an inch shy. And if I cut this, so just stopped right there, a little bit of space. Little bit of space on this side. So none of these 3 seams is stepping on itself. So we should be able to open that up flat. And when you press this, I'm pressing so the fabric is going underneath my corner square. If I'm using white, I might decide to push it in the other direction, this way, so my seams don't show. Just either direction. It's entirely up to you depending on your fabric. In this case with the blue, the easiest thing is to just push it right underneath. And all of these, every one of these, the 2 diamonds, your seam will go in the same direction on each one. When we sew the next section, it'll be seam going in this direction so that you'll be able to swirl all the seams when they're finished. We've stopped right here. You're not going into the center. This seam will be pressed like that. The next pair, the seam will be pressed in that same direction, this way when it's done. So all of the seams will be in one direction. All of these main seams will be in one direction. And you sew just up to that point, not across, never across. And you'll be able to take all these little center pieces and just swirl them around, and they'll just sit perfectly flat. Swirl them like a flower.